Okay, I see the red light, and we are recording. Thank you for joining me, and welcome back to the director's commentary on episode 2 of Anime in the Real World. This is your host, Mark Eric Siban, and, well, here we go. Like last time, I said I was going to do this all in one shot, and I'm going to try this again, so please bear with me. Um, so, I always had an idea of doing these questions in the beginning, but I had absolutely no real foundation on how I wanted to do them until I was in Tokyo and I was in Lake Asha for a Neon Genesis segment later on in the series, and I saw that picture, that decal in the store window, and it's like, okay, this is it. This is like the epiphany moment, and it's kind of funny. This type of thing kept happening over and over again, where I would see the answers to a really cool question and I didn't mean to find them. I had actually, as I said, I wanted to do these questions, but I didn't even know how I was going to do these questions or what the questions were. And then just randomly, this or that would pop up, and it's like, oh, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Um, let's see. I want to thank everyone, other than, of course, everyone who's taken the time to listen to this. I want to thank everyone who actually took the time to send me some questions. That really meant a lot to me. So one of the major questions I kept getting through the emails from all of you was, how do I pick the animes for this series? And it's actually a two-part answer. First is, obviously, if it's anything specific to the subject matter, I'm going to use the anime for that subject matter. Like, let's say Neon Genesis, if I'm talking about animes in the 90s, or animes that deal with social and mental issues, I'm going to pick something about that. Other than that, it's going to be animes that I just like. It's nothing too special, nothing too spectacular. It's, if I really like this anime, I'm going to use it a lot. Basically because I like it, and I want to share it with all of you. So while you're watching the documentary, you will see Azumanga Daioh pop up, the Can Koli collection pop up, and Neon Genesis, another, and several other ones, Haruhi Suzumiya series. Absolutely, they're going to pop up a lot because I just like them. Okay, Katsudu Shashan. This is an interesting subject, and I kind of want to go into it a lot more in the future. But if you go to the National Film Archives of Tokyo, they've got a great website, and if you ever go to Tokyo, I say take the time, go over there. It's really cool to see early Japanese cinema, especially being an anime fan. They have a huge selection of anime from the very dawn of Japanese animation to check out. But what's interesting is Katsudo Shashen, although it's recognized to exist, no one really actually says it's the first anime. And I've come across this in a couple of books, and I've come across this just talking to experts in the field, that it's kind of like the black sheep of the history of anime. Yes, it exists, but the problem is it's very hard to quantify when it existed, because it was originally just found in a box in a I can't remember if it was a yard sale or if it was like a secondhand shop in Osaka. And there's just other things from 1907, so it's kind of hard to say yes, it's 1907, because there's no record of this until this little film strip was found. And one of the other biggest problems is, why does it exist? The prevailing theory is it was something for rich people to view because, as I said in the previous episode, only rich people could have projectors at the time. Now, what's interesting, I recently had a conversation with my media professor, and we were talking about kinescopes. Very early, they're like big boxes where you could put a coin in and look through a little like spyglass and watch a small movie. And they were very, very popular in the United States in the like very end of the 19th century to just the tip of the 20th century, before cinemas became a real thing. And it kind of dawned on me, because these clips that you would be able to view were extremely short, like 30 seconds, and that was it. Now, I have not been able to find any solid evidence that the kinescopes existed in Japan, but there's nothing that would say it wouldn't exist. So I'm starting to wonder, and again, this is just a theory, and I would love to hear from all of you what you think about katsudu shashan, if it was just something rich people bought to watch, or is it what remains of a Japanese kinescope movie? I don't know. It just kind of came up actually today before I was recording this. So it's one of those mysteries that I don't know if there's an answer to. Many scholars don't know if there's an answer to, and a lot of people just kind of gloss over it. So, as it stands, I don't know. What do you all think? As you watch these next couple of episodes, you're going to notice something very different from the very first episode. What happened was when you're filming anything, movie, TV show, documentary, you you don't do anything in order. You have your script or scripts, and you kind of track what shots go where and when they happen. And unfortunately, as we all know, COVID-19 happened. So when this script, which originally was just one script, but because there was so much information, and I added so much information after the fact because I just wanted to tell more of the story of anime through the decades, it was originally going to mainly be filmed in Osaka. For various reasons, I just like, okay, this episode and the very next episode are going to be filmed in Osaka. Didn't give much thought to it. As I'm in the north in Tokyo and Fukushima and a couple other places filming different segments for different episodes, there it was January of this year, so in Japan nothing about COVID was really happening. Although it's interesting as I think back, there were signs that something was going on because tourists were disappearing. But get back to my point, um, you don't film anything in sequence because you just can't. You take the opportunities because you're in this location, you're in this location, and you record. So when this episode or these next three episodes came up on the docket, unfortunately, I was in Osaka ready to roll, but I started seeing things close down. Parks, venues, museums, everything started closing down. Even people who I planned to have for interviews just said, well, we can't do this. We can't meet with you because we can't be in the same room with you because of COVID. So I had to do this like rush scramble. How in the world am I going to do these talking head segments where it's just me talking to the camera? So luckily, with everything closing down, the place I was staying just said, well, we have this kind of open lounge area, traditional style open lounge area. Why don't you just use that? And I'm like so grateful that they were kind enough to do that because I was able to keep going that way. But because of that, there's such a huge striking difference between the first episode, the next four episodes, and the last two episodes. But it just reminds me that the old saying, the show must go on. So luckily, I was able to secure a location and film. And I'm filming these things at like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning once all the patrons have gone to sleep and everything. And I'm trying to do multiple takes. Um, be it that it's kind of a scramble, I didn't have any time nor the rights to secure the location. So I couldn't put like plastic on the windows to silence street noise or anything. So what could have been just maybe like an hour of filming took about 3, 4 hours of filming because every so often I'm in the middle of a sentence and I just hear a truck blast its horns at 3 a.m. in the morning. So it's one of those things. If you want to get into making films and making documentaries like me, don't do it just because you're inspired by me. Just do it because you want to. Please. more documentaries on YouTube, more documentaries out there, period, is always a great thing. Knowledge is power and knowledge is fun. But be prepared that nothing you plan out for will go the way you want. As I said in the last director's commentary, this documentary is probably about 40% of what I originally envisioned for it. And I knew before then, well, there's no way, no way with everything that could go wrong. With the time I've got, which was just 3 months to get all these episodes recorded, and with the technology that I have back home to edit everything, that it's going to be exactly what I wanted. But I didn't know how much not exactly how I wanted it was going to be. Because I'm looking at these shots like, this is, I hope you guys are enjoying this. But I'm looking at this like, oh, it's just me talking to a camera in a room. And it's like, oh, this is boring. Ugh. But the thing you got to remember, and when I say that, I'm telling myself, is nothing goes as planned, so you gotta just go with it. You gotta just keep moving. So, making any type of art is always a challenge, but that's what makes it so much fun. And within those challenges, you find your own message. You find how to present what you originally had written in scripts to actually mean something. And I've got a lot of emails from so many people saying they noticed this or they noticed that, or oh, I never knew about this anime, I want to watch this, or I never knew that this event changed this in anime. And it's like, okay, perfect. I am able to get across what I'm talking about, and that's always the biggest fear, especially when in the back of your mind, like, oh, this is not how I wanted it to be. But when people, when all of you say, oh, okay, I've learned this today, that's the ultimate goal. That is the bottom. It's not, I'm not making documentaries to make money. I'm making documentaries because for some reason I keep wanting to. And I say for some reason because my own mother was a school teacher. And I promised myself, seeing what she went through as a school teacher, and she was a special ed teacher, um, that I would never become a teacher. I was like, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Wait a minute. I'm making documentaries. Guess what that is? It's a form of teaching. So, although I am not a school teacher, I somehow have wound up becoming a teacher. So, it's kind of those weird things in life. You say you're not going to do anything and you wind up doing it. And when you put yourself out there in some form or fashion, like creating anything, you always worry that maybe it's not going to be received well or understood. So, luckily, so far, those who have dropped me a line have liked it. And I want to say, again, thank you very much. Keep watching. There are more episodes. As I said before, this is the first of 3 parts for the decades of anime. And things are going to get interesting. This first one, it's so cool. Maybe cool is not the right word, but it's so fascinating to actually see how the course of, especially World War II, shifted anime. And then, as in this next part, actually, this part that's going on right now, how the aftermath of World War II shifted anime again. And no matter what culture you are from, no matter what country, no matter what era of time, your politics, your socioeconomic movement in your country, in your nation, in your land, does affect art. Look at Renaissance Europe. The art was changed to a very religious tones. Look at ancient Egypt. Art was changed so the body of anyone that's on these temple walls is completely visible. You see both arms, both legs, because culturally that's how it was supposed to be. And anime is such a great case to actually watch a culture, I don't want to say evolve, because that's not exactly the right word, but how it shifted through the decades. And it's so clear to see all of that within the decades of anime, within the new studios coming up with the new techniques, and especially one of the biggest things was that change in what we all know as the anime eyes at the very end of World War II. So it's an adventure. It's a lot of fun to look into this. It's a lot of research to find all this. So please keep enjoying. I did not realize I'm already at the end credits. I've got like a little monitor right here with the episode playing, but for some reason I keep looking at like the spit shield of my mic when I'm talking instead of looking at that. So I've got to work on that. So that's kind of a weird thing I do, but okay, whatever. Again, thank you so much. If you have any questions or just want to drop a line, please say hello to me on Google at Anime in the Real World 2020 at gmail.com.